Welcome to this little webinar. My name is Mike Wood. I am going to go through and give some details on using Hirewriters for content. If you don't have an account with them, I'll put a link in the description of the video that you can go sign up through and use to get set up. But it's fantastic for creating content. Now, they talk right here. Notice here on their homepage, they show you these prices. Get 150 to 300 words in an article written for $1.50, or for $1.25, or 700 to 1,000 words for $5. So all of these are dependent on the quality of the writer, how skilled you're requesting. And so that's something I'm going to show you as we go through this. But first, before you start, and we are logged in to get started here, we could actually go right here under Order Content and go to Order Articles. But before we get in here to start ordering articles, we need to know what keywords we're using. So by the time you get to this point of ordering content for your website, you should already have an understanding of keywords and the keyword research so that you know which keywords to target, and then you're going to go create content based on those keywords. So you usually don't have to give too much instruction here, but we'll talk about that where we can give a little bit of instruction. Basically, we give keywords to the writers, and they are going to go create the content for us based on our keywords. If there's anything you feel they need to know about the topic, that's where we want to give some special instructions. Okay? So I'm going to look at the keyword list, and we'll go through that in just a moment here. But just briefly, this writer skill level right here, this section in the middle of the page, that's where you basically determine how much you're going to pay for the writer. So if we selected, let's say we were doing a blog post, 300 to 500 words is a good amount for a blog post. So if we were to do that, we come down here, and if we select beginning writers, well, we can do a 300 to 500 word article for as little as $3.45. Pretty cheap, right? However, if we want somebody a little more skilled, okay, this is any writer, right? This general writers, this is, hey, they've at least completed 3 jobs with an overall rating of 4 stars or above. So they've got a little bit of skill, hopefully, right? Somebody's rated them. So if we go there, well, then that article is going to cost us a little bit more, close to $5. What I generally like to do is use skilled writers. I very seldom have done the expert writers. If you really want to make sure you got good content, then you could go expert. Or you can go down here, and if you've saved a favorite writer, you find somebody who does a great job, save them, and then you could go here and invite them as a private job. But skilled writers, we can do 300 to 500 words for $6.15 and get a pretty darn good article written. Okay? So that's where the difference in pricing goes. All right, so where do we start? We start with our keywords. You've done the research, hopefully. You've got your list of keywords. We've got our demand estimates, and we have our all-in title estimates. So these numbers come from this search right here, right? So the first thing I suggest doing is we go over here to this column B. Actually, I noticed this column isn't, you want to freeze these rows, or this header row, because then when you start sorting things, the headers stay in place. So if we just drag this little gray bar down underneath number 1, that way as we scroll, you see the header doesn't move, it stays there. And so then when I go in here and click on header B on that first cell and go up to data and sort, I want to sort highest first, so Z to A, highest demand or highest number of searches first. So we sort the list that way, and because we have this header row frozen, it stays in place where everything else sorts. Okay? Now, after we sort this, and we've done all of our all-in title over here, the next thing I'll do is come here and resort the list all-in title A to Z, or lowest first. Now, there's a method to my madness here. The way Google Sheets, Google Sheets, the way they do this is they sort in sequence. So now it's sorted first by the lowest all-in title numbers, and then if there's some that have the same number, then it sorts those based on this number over here that was previously sorted. And so that way, as you go down through your list, we can see here that we have two of them that have 34 right there on all-in title. One of those has 1,000 searches because we sorted highest first over here, remember, and the next one down has 100. So that's why you sort it first by the minimum search volume and then by all-in title. All right. Now, as we're looking at this, I noticed one more thing that I like to do when I'm doing this, looking at my keywords to decide which one to use. If I see the same number multiple times, like 44444, 555, 6666, 1010, 1010, I see all those numbers that are the same. That is unusual to see that with all-in title, and so I like to double check that work if I'm seeing that kind of thing where it's the exact same number, because usually these numbers won't be the exact same over and over and over. So when you see that, double check to make sure you did everything right, because there's we're human, we might make mistakes. So we're going to copy this all-in title here again, and we're going to come over and make sure we're doing this search on Google. It doesn't work anywhere else. Sure enough, that's one, still the same. Now if that fluctuates a little bit, a few numbers, no big deal. All right, so that's good. So the rest of these are probably good. We're going to go down here and we'll try this one with 10. And we'll just check a few of these just to make sure everything's good. Now this one has 20 now, but honestly, if you did that earlier today or just yesterday, I could see some fluctuation. So I'm not too concerned about that. It's not drastically different. It will change because other people are updating their websites all the time, but it shouldn't change too much. If you had one that said 6 and you go double check it and it says 6,000, somewhere you made a mistake. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is everything under 555 all-in title. Okay, that's cool. This has a more full list. Cool. Yep. So here's what I would suggest. If you're going to put a number in there, 555 isn't bad, but I would go all the way up to 2,000 or 3,000, honestly, because it is not hard to compete with a 2,000 or 3,000 all-in title. It really isn't very hard. So yeah, that's fine. 145 to compete with, that's a lot of keywords, so that's fine. That's good. All right. So back to the narrative. All right, so now we look at this. We've sorted our list. We've got some in here that we've researched. Which do we target? Well, the first ones we want to target are the highest, because the higher demand numbers are going to bring in more traffic if we rank for them, right? So when I see 1,000 or above, again, I'm going to double check that number. Make sure the all-in title is correct or near that. And sure enough, 324, we had 324. So beautiful. That is a fantastic phrase to target. And of course, that's not something we're going to use, as a meta title or a keyword that we target on a product, but watering air plants, that sounds like a great blog title, doesn't it? A great title for a blog, maybe for a video to demonstrate, anything like that where we're talking about watering air plants. Well, we might want to use that multiple times. We might want to hit that one once each month and do a new blog post on that key phrase, because if we could start ranking a page or two for that, there's a lot of traffic that could come from that. Same thing right here, air purifying plants NASA. All right, well, is that really relevant though? This one came in because it's got air and plants. We're selling air plants. I don't know what people are looking for here from NASA. If there's some kind of research that NASA did on air purifying plants, let's find out about it. If some of those plants are the air plants that we sell, great. We can target this phrase and reference that NASA article. But if not, then we're going to throw this phrase out because it's not relevant. Okay? So that's the first most important thing with any content that we're creating. Is it directly relevant to our product? Is it directly relevant to our niche and to our site? That's the first most important thing. And if it's not, we delete it, we get rid of it. But if it is, then we use it. And so it really doesn't matter so much what phrase we use or which phrases we use for articles, as long as they are relevant. The next thing we look at is whatever has higher demand and still a pretty low all-in title. All-in title it's all relative. Every niche is going to be a little different. So this niche here, we've got, if we go over to this sheet, it's already sorted by the minimum search. So let's sort it now by all-in title, lowest first. So if we go down and look through this list, looking for those that have over 1,000 searches per month, right? That's what I'm looking for. Then we decide at what point does it make sense. So air layering plants, best indoor plants for clean air, displaying air plants, there's a great one. It only has 848. So, compared, if we scroll all the way down here, and here's what we do, we're comparing within our niche. When we have phrases like this that have 13,000, 20,000, 43,000, and even 489,000 competing pages, well, why would we ever target all of these that are going to be harder to compete on when we have all of this low-hanging fruit up here? So we're going to use the highest demand, the highest search volume with lower all-in title. And again, that's all relative to from one niche to another. So I'm not going to give specific numbers on how low you should go with the all-in title here. If you have a bunch like this where there's several that are under, 13,000, then that's your threshold right there. We've got a lot that are way under that we could target that have good demand. That's our threshold. If you don't have very many that are under 10,000, then your threshold might be 20,000. So that depends on the niche that you're looking at. But when we've got this many, when we have 100 to 1,000, somewhere in multiple hundreds of searches each month with a handful of pages competing, to me that's a no-brainer. We're going to pick phrases out of this. And if we have some of these, like we go back over to this sorted document, like this one here, watering air plants, over 1,000 searches with only 321 pages competing right now. Wow, that's a fantastic phrase. So that's what we would start with. So let's give that as our example. We're going to copy that phrase right there. We're going to come over here. So now we're ready to start our request over here at the Hirewriters. So we're going to use our keyword for the project description. So we paste that right up in there. Give it a category. So what's it related to? Well, this is kind of like a home thing. We've got home and family right there is what I'm looking for. Do they have? Yeah, I think that would be the best option. We don't have to nail it, specific or anything. This is within home and family. We set how many words we want, how fast we want it. Well, if we want to give them time to really be able to do the best they can do, then we might want to give them at least 5 days. And so we'll change that. For some reason, it's not letting me on the screen share control that mouse anymore. There we go. So we go down here and we go to 5 days. We're going to give them 5 days to get it done. We're going to use a skilled writer. We come down here. This is our keyword. Didn't want to paste in that time. Watering, air, plants. All right, we only want one article. Tone. So this is where we can say, hey, give me something professional. Give me something friendly. Give me something that's funny. Put a little humor into it. Review. I want to review a product. Give me a review style. So, and then if we have something other, then we'd have to explain it, right? So usually I just go for professional. With this, watering air plants, friendly might be a good way to go. So we can choose that. And then we come down here. I am looking for a blog post for content on my blog describing to people how to water their air plants. And then if there's anything you want to explain to this person who might not know about air plants, they're going to have to go research what it is, then you could talk about that in more detail here. You could give them a little more information about what you're looking for, what you expect, the tone of the article. That's what this special instructions is for. You don't have to put anything in there if you don't want to. But if you have if you have some ideas and you want them to follow along with your idea and just expand on it, and that's why you want them to write, then give them the instructions, whatever that needs to be. Okay? Don't get too wordy in here. I would keep it fairly simple. When I do this, if I'm ordering content where I want multiple things, I want to do it all from one writer, not have multiple writers creating multiple articles. Sometimes I'll say, hey, I want all of this for one website, but I want a category page, a home page, and a blog post. I'll call it one article, even though in the description I'm explaining this is actually 3 articles, but I want it under one job. Here's how I want you to do it. That's where you need to get, I'm making it complicated for them. You're not usually going to do that. Usually you're going to come in here, you're going to order one article at a time. Keep it simple, straightforward. This is what I'm looking for. Okay? And that's how we do it. And then you'll put the, you could offer more if you wanted. The minimum is this amount. If you wanted to do more, you could. One other tip I'll give you, when I hire somebody and I like them and I save them as a favorite, sometimes I'll come back to them and say, hey, can you do another one for me? Well, I have one favorite author that I use in here, and he is a very good author and charges higher than what I paid him originally. He took a job where I pay $12. But when I check this and select his name on skilled writers and put in my details, this populates down here with $26. And since I have communication with him, I send him messages through the message center up here. So I talk to him beforehand about ordering it. And since I've already, I've paid him the 12, I just rewrite 12 into there. We've already talked. I know he's accepting it, and so I put the $12 in there, overwriting what it says. So just keep that in mind. Just because it populates something in there doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. If you have a favorite writer, they've taken a job at lower pay before, and you go in and select them, and this populates at a higher amount, again, you can communicate with them prior to having them hired and say, hey, are you willing to do this other article for me again at the $6 price or the $7 price or whatever? I'd like another one. I like your writing. And they say, yeah, sure, go ahead and hire me. Then you come in and hire them, put in the agreed upon price, and you're good. Okay? Any questions? I think friendly would be good with this one. I kind of like that. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Um, Either way, I mean, honestly, you could do some professional, some friendly. It wouldn't hurt to do a few friendly, do a few funny, and do a few professional, and then look at what you get and see which style you like better, and that will help you as you move forward. You might settle on a certain style and a certain author as you move forward with your business. Any other questions? Yeah, that's it. I guess I should do that, huh? Are you okay with me doing that for you? Okay. All right. So once we're all ready there, then we just click Submit Job, and that will submit the job for us. And they'll give you this little message. Your project has been created. You can now check the status of the project by viewing it in the My Projects page. That's up here at the top. And then this little checkbox, if we don't want to see this message again, we can check that. If you want to be reminded a few times first, then you can leave it there to remind you. All right, well, we know, so we can close that. Here is what they're talking about, My Projects right here, and that's the page that we're on currently, View My Projects. So here we can see the project name, the details, and down here it's an open job. If we want to edit the project details, we can edit in here. If we decide, oh, you know what, I don't really want that one anymore, we could cancel the project here. Once somebody accepts that, their name will show up here, and it'll be an accepted job or something like that. I can't even recall where they show, but it'll change down here, and it'll show how much time they have left to complete it. And then once they complete it, you get to review it. This is one of my favorite things about Hirewriters. There's very little communication between the buyer and the writer. If you don't like a writer, you can give them a bad rating and fire them. And don't feel bad about doing that. If you get a junk article come back, don't go in and just feel sorry for them and rate them high, because that's telling other people that this is a good writer. If they've got a junk article, they deserve to have a lower rating. So give them that lower rating. You can fire them as an author if they're really bad, and I've done that many times, because I don't want to. The reason I'm doing this, hiring somebody else, is so that I don't have to take my time doing this work, so that I hire somebody else to do the work. Well, I want it done right. I want it done professionally, right? I don't want work that once I pay somebody for it, then I have to go in and rewrite it, fix grammar mistakes, fix punctuation or spelling. I don't want to do that. The reason I'm paying them is to have the work done properly so that I'm not having to do it. So don't be too merciful here. If it's garbage work, fire them, rate it appropriately, reopen the job. It'll refund your money back to you, and you can go find somebody else to do it right. Okay? That's why it's good to save writers once you find good writers, because then you have a collection of people that you trust who have given you good content that you can go back to over and over for content in the future. So I think that covers pretty much everything we need to help you get started and be pretty thorough there with Hirewriters. Great resource to help you get some good content.